Hey everyone, I'm Matt Dolan with Dolan Divorce Lawyers in Connecticut, and today I'm going to talk about what you can do to protect your finances in the divorce process. So first off, once you know you're going to be going through a divorce, you want to gather as much financial information as you can. You're going to want to get your tax returns together, your pay stubs, your bank account statements, at least to start, your present bank account statements, your present retirement account statements, any other investment accounts. You're going to want to have a list of any assets that you have, such as real estate, vehicles, and other valuable property that you might have beyond those. Usually it's just real estate and vehicles as far as valuable personal property. You don't need to be getting into like the pots and pans and, appliances and things like that. It's, things of significant value. And then also any balances on credit cards, mortgage statements, and other loans that you have. So to start, just get current statements so that you or your attorney can have an accurate picture of the financial landscape. In the divorce process, you're going to have to draft financial affidavits, which are documents that list your income, your expenses, your assets, and all of your debts. And having these initial documents can help you with that process. As the process goes on, you might need to gather additional statements, such as retirement account statements from the time you were married to show what your, investment assets were at the time of the marriage. Or you may have to go back and get 2 years of bank account statements or 2 years of pay stubs, things like that. But you're going to want to start with an accurate current picture of what you have. And if you don't know, just gather whatever you can, and then your attorney might be able to use those documents in order to review them and get an understanding of what other assets or expenses or debts you may have. So that's step one, is just get whatever documents you can so that you can get a snapshot of the current financial picture. Second, you're going to want to get valuations of any assets that you have, when necessary. So don't just go out and get appraisals before talking to your lawyer, because you're going to want to make sure you work with an appraiser who's experienced in divorce cases, for example. So you're going to want to get valuations. Mainly it's real estate, but sometimes if there's a business, you might have to get a business valuation, which is can be a tremendously complex process, but generally it's real estate. And then if there's valuable cars, you may get an appraisal on the car if it's like a classic car or something like that. But generally, it's just real estate. You're going to need that so that you can get an accurate picture of the financial landscape and what assets you and your spouse have. As far as more active steps you're going to have to take, you're going to want to try to manage your spending as much as possible during the divorce. You're going to be going from a single household. In most cases, you're going to be going from a single household situation to a multiple household situations, which is going to cost, you and your spouse, presumably more money than your expenses during your marriage. And then on top of that, you and your spouse may or may not have attorneys. So if you're paying attorneys, that is expensive. And because of that, you're going to want to make sure you manage your spending so that you can conserve your assets and not come out at the end of the divorce with nothing left. Obviously, it depends on your financial circumstances. If you're more well off, you can kind of go business as usual and spend as you did. But, if this is going to be a difficult process for you financially, you're going to want to manage that spending. And you're also going to want to avoid any major financial decisions. So don't go buy a house, don't go buy a new car. Any major spending, it can be a violation of the automatic orders, which are orders that are put in place while the divorce are pending, that basically says you can't make any major financial transactions. Now, in some situations, it may be necessary for you to make a financial transaction. If your car dies, you might need to buy a new car. Just if you have an attorney, run it by them, make sure it's okay. They're probably going to want to get consent from the other side. If you don't have an attorney, just work on getting consent from the other side, or you can ask for the court's permission to purchase a new car if you need a new car, for example. Don't do anything sketchy. Just don't hide assets. Don't try to move money around and hide it. There's always going to be a paper trail. And if you get caught doing anything sketchy, the court's not going to like it, and they're just going to assume that you've done a lot of sketchy things that we haven't, that the other side hasn't caught. So it could end up, even if they catch you doing something sketchy and that's the only sketchy thing you did, and you're being completely honest, well, your credibility sort of shot, and that's going to hurt you in the ultimate divorce. So just don't be sketchy. Plus, it's, in many cases illegal, and you're swearing under oath on your financial affidavit that the document is true and accurate. So if you do try to hide assets, that's illegal. It's perjury. So don't do anything sketchy. You're going to want to plan for the future. Of course, you're going to, again, be going from a single household to a multiple household situation. So, it can probably help with your anxiety. Again, don't make decisions based on your future. Don't make major financial transactions, but start to think about the future and what your new financial situation and your new financial reality is going to look like. You can talk with your attorney about it. You can talk with a financial advisor about it, and that will just help you generally emotionally get through the process. And being reasonable is probably the most important. Just try to be reasonable and listen to your attorney, assuming you have a good attorney who you trust. But if you trust your attorney, there's a reason you hired them. You hired them to guide you through this process, and it's a tremendously emotional process. I don't think anybody really wants to get a divorce, or, at the time of their marriage, foresaw getting a divorce. Of course, sometimes you want to get a divorce, but it's just not an ideal situation no matter what. And it's emotional, and it can lead people to make decisions that don't necessarily make a lot of sense. Maybe they're really mad at their spouse, or they want to get back at them, etc. But at the end of the day, that's really only going to hurt you financially. It's going to hurt your kids. It's just not going to be good. And if you're not reasonable, then the other side's probably not going to reach an agreement with you. So ultimately, it's best in a divorce to try to resolve things as quickly as possible so that you can keep your money for yourself and not pay it all to the lawyers. So just try to be reasonable, listen to your attorney. Obviously, you can't control the other side. Sometimes, as reasonable as you want to be, they're not reasonable, and you can't reach an agreement, and paying attorneys is sort of inevitable. But, it's best to kind of keep things as calm and rational as possible. Obviously, it's impossible to be totally calm and rational because, we are human beings, and if you're going through a divorce, it's just very upsetting. So those are the basics on what you can do to protect yourself financially in a divorce. As usual, if you have any questions, you can contact our office. And if you are looking for representation in a divorce or family law case, we would invite you to contact our office as well.